Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and of course, DK in the background running the show. We're excited to talk about all things Baltimore Ravens, but we're also excited to talk about who this show is brought by, and that's BetOnline. Throughout the times we've been doing the show, we've had a number of partners, and we're really excited about this new partnership going into this season. So BetOnline is your number one source for all summer sports this season, whether it's golf, baseball, NBA, NHL playoffs, and then, of course, all the latest stats, news, scores and are all available as you follow your favorite teams. Glenn, it's been a crazy NBA playoff this year so far, NHL as well, but certainly with basketball. But I'm really excited for this partnership, looking forward to working with them, and hopefully you guys can have some fun using it.
Yeah, no doubt. And also with BetOnline, you can get all the latest odds, all the latest lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, odds on just about every sport you can imagine. So make sure you guys head to their website today. That's betonline.ag, or you can download their mobile app to your mobile device on both Android or Apple devices. It's just BetOnline AG. You'll see a big B there. Go ahead and download that. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Let's go. Speaking of games, it's getting ready to get serious, Glenn. We got a couple things going on that we're going to focus on tonight. One of the things that you brought up in our huddle before the show started, of course, was rookie minicamp is right around the corner, which is crazy to think about. But speaking of rookies, the Baltimore Ravens, of course, filled out their roster when it comes to undrafted rookies. We have a long history, a rich history of successful both on the field and financially successful undrafted rookies that make it big here in Baltimore. So this is always a topic of conversation here, I think, more than anywhere else. And then, of course, we're going to talk about our roster as is. Now that the draft is over, really all we can do at this point is work through free agency. I doubt any trades will be, swirling up, but really to be about free agency. But I'm excited to kind of look at the position groups, talk about where we need help. Maybe some of our needs have been realigned, etc. But Glenn, let's start with these rookies, man. This is always exciting, right? To look at these undrafted guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see new guys on the team, period. And like you said, the incredible success the Ravens have had. I mean, it's arguable that they've had just as much success with, undrafted guys as they have in the later parts of the draft. So, I mean, don't sleep on one of these guys here making an instant contribution this year, but also, big contributors down the line as these guys get more familiar. Quick question here, Jimbo, because Shumal says something I've heard a lot. I heard I look like Ryan Mountcastle, and Shumal agrees.
I don't know who that is. Wait, the baseball player.
First of all, don't say you don't know who that is. That just pissed me all the way off, James.
Wait, okay? Why? Because he's an Oriole?
Yeah, and he's been here for a while.
Well, if he's not Adley Rushman or Gunner, those are the only people that.
No, Ryan Mountcastle is a hell of a first baseman, Gold Glove type first baseman, hits bombs. But I've heard that many times, actually, that I look like Ryan Mountcastle.
I don't see it, though, Glenn. And I mean that as a compliment. Because, look, dude, he looks a little bit like Schmeagle to me, and I don't think you look like Schmeagle.
Really? You think
that?
Yeah,
let me show you this real quick. Real quick. I won't take up too much time, but this is just a bad picture, but he's got the Schmeagle. Oh, wait, what'd I do? Okay, here we go. Okay. See this picture off to the right?
All right. Well,
I'm saying it's the picture that came
up. Go. Look at the yearbook smile.
This one right here?
Come on now. Hold on. Let me do mine. No?
Well, I mean, I guess I can see it in that year.
Thank you.
A little bit. But
I think he's a handsome guy. I'll take it. I've been called worse.
That's fair.
I've been called worse. There we go. Shumal says Mountcastle looks like Glenn.
There you go.
That's right.
Fair.
I'm older than him.
I was going to say, I'm sure you are his elder, right?
Yeah. Most athletes nowadays, Jimmy, I'm older than him, which really took a lot to get used to. But there's still LeBron. Okay. There's not many, but LeBron's
I'm feeling good because Canelo and I are the same age. I'm all right with that.
Okay. All right. I'd rather fight you.
I'd rather fight me too. I'd rather fight me too.
I'd much rather.
Yeah. But I mean, he's probably got a lot of gas left in the tank, so I'm feeling all
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of which, my father-in-law is the biggest Jaime Munguia fan. My father-in-law is obsessed with boxing. It's his sport. Like I am to Ravens, he is to boxing.
We got to find out his take on this Ryan Garcia drama. Is he a cheater, or are they trying to slander his name.
Well, he is not a Ryan Garcia guy.
Oh, okay. Well, then we won't ask him his opinion.
Oh, he'll still give you his opinion. But all I was going to say is that Canelo is going to teach Jaime Munguia a lesson. Una lección, como dicen en Mexico. Una lección. He's going to teach him a lesson, Glenn.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Munguia's good. I don't know if you've seen him fight.
no.
He's a good fighter, but Canelo is too honed
just,
in right now.
He's insane. He's insane.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the list because I'm excited about some of these guys on this list, and it really you go no further. You go no further than the first one. Look, yeah, he's a Terp, so of course I'm going to be more. I'm going to lean toward. But Jimmy, I can't understand what happened and why Bo Braid wasn't drafted. And here's the big. You know how much we respect the opinion of DraftPlex, right? That's guy. I mean, I love how he signed off. If you guys haven't seen our last live, watch how Jason drops the mic when he's just tired of the chat questioning his qualifications. Mm-hmm. That dude is as qualified to speak on the draft as anyone you'll ever see on your screen. So we obviously respect his opinion. Right there, Bo Braid, safety out of Maryland, on his big board was the 9th best safety in the whole draft. And to give you perspective, Sanusi, who we took in the 7th round, let me see. Sanusi Kane out of Purdue, he had him as the 20th best safety as a round 5 to 7 selection. Of course, we got him in the 7th round, so still a good pick for the Ravens. He had him at Bo Braid at 9th as a 3rd to 4th round quality player, and the Ravens snatched that guy as an undrafted rookie free agent. So, I mean, you don't have to go very far down the list to already be impressed with this list.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, is this the devaluation of the safety position?
I mean, I guess it could be, but the 20th best safety was drafted in the 7th round. Why, so why wasn't the 9th best safety taken, who's a 3 to 4 round projection?
How do you see his game? I saw a little bit of college stuff, but does he have limitations? Is he maybe only a box guy? I just haven't.
Well, certainly there's always, I mean, anytime there's a guy like that, he's going to have some limitations. And I think some of those are fair, but I mean, he was, let me see, there's a different one here. Has him as the 60-something best prospect in the whole draft. And they get him down here. Now, the part he didn't grade out, great, was he didn't have the great, we kept bringing up the relative athletic score, the RAS rating for all these guys, and how the Ravens, I mean, every guy they picked was just through the roof. And that's where, he certainly fell short. He scored a 5.3 out of the possible 10 scoring, which, we got guys that were in 9-point-something range. So he didn't grade out well when it comes to, athleticism. But, he had 75 tackles last year, 4 of which were tackles for loss. He had an interception. He had 6 pass breakups, a forced fumble. He had a lot of statistics and a lot of stuff go his way. And let's not forget, just because guys grade out poorly, that's where the Ravens get their biggest steals. Like Kyle Hamilton didn't grade out great athletically. He fell right into our laps.
Stone.
Yeah, Geno Stone, another perfect example. Even a guy like Brandon Stevens had so many doubters. Look at that guy now. Like they had a list, Jimbo, of like where guys were drafted and where they were expected to go. There's one massive outlier in the last 5 years, and it is by far Brandon Stevens. Like nobody knew who that guy was, and look where he turned out. So just because guys grade out, maybe don't run AJ
Orlando Brown.
Yeah, oh my goodness, Orlando Brown is a
even not to
example.
the same extent, and kind of for other reasons, but like Haloti Ngata, sort of, you can throw him in there. You know,
Terrell Suggs.
Yeah.
He's that 40 time is the only reason the Ravens had any chance to get him. And they were doing backflips when he ran a slow 40 because, like they always say, show me where you got to run 40 yards to get to a quarterback and I'll get worried. I love that line about Terrell Suggs. So, that's a massive steal. But look, we're not only here to talk about him. Maryland offensive lineman, also Corey Bullock, has been brought in. Center out of Alabama, Darian Dalcourt. Georgia's D lineman, Trammell Walthor. Cincinnati quarterback Emory Jones, Lock Haven. Dude, where is Lock Haven, Jimbo?
I just had that up. Give me a second.
Yeah, Chris Collier, running back out of Lock Haven. Shout out to him. Kentucky wide receiver Tavion Robinson. Mississippi wide receiver Dayton Wade, Rutgers wideout Isaiah Washington, North Central wide receiver D'Angelo Hardy. A lot of wideouts being brought in. This one's where it's a little bit incorrect here. I should have pulled up. They have Iowa. They have Joe Evans listed as a tight end. He is an edge. I don't know why they have him as tight end. I was actually watching some film on the guy.
Yeah. So I actually read about this, and they said that he obviously played edge in college, but he's looking to be an H-back, fullback, or tight
versatile.
end.
Okay.
In the pros. So that's what he's looking to do in the pros. I don't know what the switch is for. I don't know if it was him or if it was encouraged by teams.
Because he led Iowa in sacks last year,
but he ran a 4.67 40.
4.6 is a big edge. I mean, that's not.
I think that's anyway. When I read it, for some reason,
that's pretty good. I mean, I thought you were saying that's a bad thing. That's
no. Sorry, I was saying that. I mean, that's like he's got some wheels, so maybe he wants to play offense type thing.
Well, what got me excited want to watch the tape is how we love to stunt, especially with our athletic D tackles.
Yeah,
dude, that's where he was getting all his sacks on stunts. He just comes right behind the D tackle, and he was smashing. I mean, he had one hit he put on C.J. Stroud from 2 years ago. Hit him right in his chest. The ball comes flying out, and CJ falls backwards, arms up like this, like the classic crime scene outline. Like, that's how hard he hit him, where he forgot he had a ball in his hands. And then Evans picked it up and actually took it to the house and scored a touchdown. So that guy, he's got some talent. Duke interior defensive lineman Jamion Franklin, Maryland interior defensive lineman Trey Colbert, Oregon edge John McCartan, Temple linebacker Evandy Rigby, Rutgers linebacker Deion Jennings, and I believe let me see, I think there's a couple more at the bottom, right? Or maybe not. I did see a different list here that the punter from Maryland also, I believe, has joined the team as well. I'm just trying to find confirmation on that. But I think there might be one more name that we need to add to this list, and it's a punter. But long list. And look, I know some people were hoping that they'd take more swings at wide receiver, and maybe those swings are just going to be in the undrafted ranks. But what is
How
this?
How many of them got there? 3 of them?
I believe it's 4.
One,
4.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, 4 guys. So by far the most, position, the most at any position in the undrafted ranks. And of course, they added Tez Walker in the 4th round out of UNC. Who, by the way, the more I watched him, holy smokes, if that guy's not going to be.
Did anybody see the? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think he's going to be a perfect fit. I mean, perfect fit. DraftPlex said that he's not he wasn't elite, or he didn't want to say he was great at those 50-50s, that high point in the ball when you asked him that. I don't know, man. He looked pretty good to me in the time I spent watching him. I think he's big and he's fast. But what do you glean from this list here?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, really quick, when it comes to Tez, did anyone see the Steve Smith video talking about him?
He likes that guy.
Yeah, he does.
He likes that guy.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that because I put a lot of – the reason I put a lot of stock in Steve Smith, 1, he's a Hall of Famer with position. 2, he was a Raven, but more than anything because Steve knows what gets guys pushed down in their evaluation, right? Because Steve is the epitome of that. Right.
Yep.
And all he did was prove people wrong his entire career. So if you want to talk to a guy that understands this whole process, like none better than Steve Smith. Right. But I'll tell you a guy that's got me excited. 1, because his hometown kid, Darian Dalcourt, is from right up the street from you, dude.
Is he?
He's from Havre de Grace.
Oh, wow.
He's a Havre de Grace, Maryland kid. But when I saw him on the list, I got excited about him. 1, because Alabama, right? So there's something to be said about going to Alabama, playing offensive line and starting at Alabama for a number of years. So plagued by injuries last 3 seasons. And I think that's why he got bounced from the draft. Has played center and guard, which is important for us because hopefully we'll never have a need at center for the next 10 to 15 years. But if he can play guard and both sides, but if you read his description, this is a family anyway. He has a girthy lower half and play strength, which is commonly found, of course, at the interior offensive line at Alabama. They talked about him playing to his experience. He plays well at both positions. Look, they've said that about a lot of these other guys that they lack the ideal length. But if he's playing on the inside, it's kind of whatever to me because Cole's talked about that. And I put a lot of stock in what Cole said, but it seems to me that his issues are his injuries. And so sometimes guys go through it and they go through it. And then
Mhm.
they don't go through it in their league. So I think this is a good guy to take a chance on. Remember we took Bradley Bozeman in the 7th round, right?
A fifth round, I believe.
5th? I'm going to double check.
I think Bozeman was a 5th.
Hold on.
Good player nonetheless. My only thing is like, I feel like his only route to the like it's definitely practice squad. I think is his
6th.
ceiling.
Neither of us were right.
Dang it. Split the difference. But I wonder with them drafting the presumably backup, is it Samak, the Michigan State center. They've already penciled him kind of in. They've already said this is going to be our backup. We weren't able to get Musfer back, so this is going to be our backup. So he's going to have to scratch his claw his way onto the practice squad, but why not? I mean, especially the big thing we learned is positional versatility. If he shows he can play not just center, but also both guard positions, then I think he's got a good shot.
Well, and I'm bullish here, Glenn.
Okay.
If he's healthy, who's locking up right guard? You putting stock in Ben Cleveland? I mean, what if he comes in, he shows discipline, he shows the ability to pick up the playbook? That's another thing that's been a knock on Ben, right? Is that he just hasn't picked things up quickly. What if this kid comes in, he picks things up, he's fast, he's strong, he's disciplined, and he's got his limitations and things like that. But I'm just saying, you never know, because I feel like that spot is wide open.
I tend to agree. I mean, I wouldn't say I think he has certainly an edge, Ben Cleveland, in that he's had playing time here. He's been in the scheme now for a year, so he's got familiarity. I think
as soon as he goes down.
Oh yeah, they're going to need a backup, and Salah is, I'm sure, in line to participate in that and compete. But yeah, he's going to have an opportunity. I'm trying to see if our guy had him on here. I'm trying to see if he had him listed at all. I don't see his name on DraftPlex. I was kind of curious because I always like to check his list to see, well, what did he think? Because a lot of guys, it just depends on which draft board you're looking at. But I don't see him on either at center, guard, or at tackle on any of his lists. But hey, you never know. He's got a chance. That's all these guys can ask for, is a chance. I will say, if you look at Kentucky wide receiver Tavion Robinson, I did find him on DraftPlex list. And in fact, he put him as a 4 to 6 range draft pick, had him as the 28th best receiver in the draft. None of these other guys I didn't see on this list. So must be, true free agent guys, but it seems like they may have gotten at least some pretty good value in the case of Tavion Robinson, the Kentucky wide receiver. We'll see what that guy turns out to be. I already mentioned Iowa's Joe Evans. I think he's got a chance to be a good player. But look, all these guys, that's all they can ask for is an opportunity with an organization that has shown and proven that they will keep at least one, but some years they'll keep 2 undrafted guys. So what more can you ask for, than an opportunity to at least earn it on the field? And let's see if these guys can go do it. Why not? Right. I'll be rooting for him.
Amen. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. But yeah, I'm excited about this class. Like you said, Glenn, look, guys, be on the lookout for like Glenn said, 1 or 2 of these guys to make this team. And this is fun to me. It's kind of like you pick your horse, right? And you're like, all right, let's see what this guy can do based on, what you know from experience, hunches, and things like that.
Oh, I'm picking Bo as my guy then.
I mean, that's fair. And I mean, obviously, Darian's my guy. That's why I talked about him. But I'm really, really looking forward to it. I know a lot of people, like you said, Glenn, are excited about Joe Evans.
Yeah.
Based on his athleticism, but I think it's tough. It's just a tough position group for anyone to crack here in Baltimore. It's tough.
But you don't rule out the fact that if he has that versatility that he's trying to show off, that the Ravens like those versatile guys, man. They like guys that can play everywhere. And look no further than Patrick Ricard, who came here as a defensive lineman, and now he's an all-pro fullback. So
yeah, I think this is why this guy wanted to sign here. Because of Patrick Ricard.
Brandon Stevens, another guy who started as an offensive player and now is look, I just listened to Eric DeCosta on the lounge today, Jimbo. He called Brandon Stevens a lockdown corner, baby. That's right. Developed into a lockdown corner. It's just crazy how far that guy came, dude. No one knew the hell he was. Remember us scrambling to try and find any information on him on draft
live? Remember we were live.
Like we got nothing. The whole internet, no one knows who this guy is.
Only
And
the
yet the Ravens
only
did.
the crew on his television, right? Or the crew at his house on television. Like that's so. I mean, they must have been scrambling at the last minute, speeding over to his house to get there, right?
They had to have. I don't know how it happened.
Did they like dial? They put an app on someone's phone at his house and just said, "Turn your phone on." Like,
we'll come to you.
yeah, just here.
They just drop out of an airplane and parachute down.
Yeah, wild stuff. But yeah, I'm excited about this group.
Yeah.
And me and Eric DaCosta hang out. That's really what it is.
Yeah, they're buddies.
But I'm also excited to talk about this roster right now as a whole. Now that we've kind of transitioned from plugging holes prior to the draft with the free agency market, now we've gone through free agency and now the draft, and now we're kind of looking at what is left to come and kind of reassessing what the Ravens look like. I think really quick, I think it's kind of funny that I've noticed some people have started downgrading the Ravens free agency offseason purely because of what they did in the draft. Saying that, the pundits that are saying they should have done more to address the offensive line because they got, so it's like this, you got Derrick Henry, but you didn't, people think that we didn't do enough to prove the offensive line. So it's like a negative on a negative now because you're spending money on a guy that you're not blocking for. I don't know how I feel about all that, but I think that there's more in the cupboard than people are saying when it comes to the offensive line.
100%. Yep.
But that's kind of what I want to get into. I want to talk about our running backs. I want to talk about our offensive linemen, our corners, all the position groups. We'll spend more time on some than others.
Yeah.
But where do you want to start? I'd like to start with the offensive line, the most important one.
I agree. I think it's got the most intrigue. I also, in listening to Eric DaCosta's visit on the lounge, I think you're right in what you just said, Jimbo. I just want to double down on it in that there's more in-house than I think a lot of people are crediting the Ravens for, especially, those like here locally. Like, I don't think we're giving enough credence to what they think and feel about Andrew Voorhees. And he was asked about, Saleh and Andrew on the lounge, and he mentioned that Andrew looks good. And when they drafted him, they had no intentions on him playing last year. His draft was for this year. And in fact, called him one of the very strongest players on the entire team, which we know, judging by his reps on that 225 with a torn knee, he still broke or still set the bar as far as how many reps these guys are putting up. So we knew about his strength, but after a year in a professional strength conditioning program, I got to imagine he's gotten even stronger. And let's hope that he's added some flexibility and some ways to try and mitigate some of the injuries that he suffered in college. But that's where I'm going to throw up the depth chart here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit for you guys so you can see a little better here. There we go. And I also kept hearing more about this Devin Leary. I got to go look more tape at him, man, because, man, it's hard for me to get behind this pick. But they keep saying he's got a special arm. Now, the part that I have a hard time with, Jimbo, is he had a record number of turnovers in college. But I know
not even at a good school.
Dude, it was so bad. It was so many picks and so many fumbles. Like, both. Like, crazy number. Like, I don't have the number in front of me, but it was an absolutely insane number of turnovers in college. So, but look, we're here to talk about the offensive lines to start, and it's pretty clear that Josh Johnson is entrenched in the backup role. So, Devin Leary, I'm not going to spend too much time. But as you can see on the screen here, I find this interesting, this part here, Jimbo. They don't immediately put Roger Rosengarten, or I think it's Rosengarten, I believe, by the way, if we want to say his name properly. I believe it's Roger Rosengarten.
Yeah, but they have Fale. I see.
They got Fale at right tackle. They got Roger at left guard. And they have, Ronnie, obviously, left tackle, Tyler at center, and Ben at right guard. Do you see... And look, they talked about Rodgers' positional versatility. They said he can really play anywhere. They called him Eric DaCosta called him a natural left tackle who was asked to play right tackle due to the left-handed quarterback.
Right.
So they obviously feel he could transition. And I even see some people going, well, we'll never know until he does it. It's like, well, he has done it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
wasn't half of his collegiate career at that side? Half, right?
2 years. So, but do you see any possibility that he's a starting guard this season?
I do. And the reason I didn't initially, like after the draft, I thought, okay, I obviously wanted Kingsley. And then I read about this guy, watched some tape, and I said, well, I'd rather have the best, like not the best, but I'd rather a top flight right tackle that's only going to be a right tackle for the next 10, 12 years than maybe above average swing guy. So I totally get it. Right. And then what I did was just like you, I started listening to people talking about why he switched to the from the left to the right. And what I'm trying to say with this is that if they feel good, it all comes down to Falele, right? Because if they feel good about Falele, then I think what you do is you want your best 5 on the line. So you take Rosengarten and you put him in at left guard. And then obviously when Ronnie leaves, you swing him out to left tackle, right? So you go from from left guard out to left tackle. I could see that as a reasonable progression for him, for sure. But it all falls on the heels of Daniel Falele, because if they don't like what Falele is doing over there, then you better believe they're going to swing Rosengarten right out there.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to waste any time. Now, Glenn, I want you to answer this as well. You know what? You answer this, but I have a follow-up question. And if I forget to ask you, remind me to ask you my question, because I think it's a good one.
Okay. All right. So as far as him left guard, I think if he ends up at left guard or right guard, then the coaches would be very disappointed, because I think they fully believe that this is their right tackle, and primarily because of what they asked the right tackle to do. If you guys haven't seen Rodgers or the film breakdown that Cole Jackson put together for Roger Rosengarten, he did a great job. I retweeted it on my Twitter. You can see my handle right there below my name.
Shouting out the X, Glenn.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit the follow, but also check it out. I mean, I think he did a great job, and I learned a lot. And the big thing I learned is he just fits what Todd Monken wants to do. Todd Monken doesn't want to help his safety. He doesn't want to help his tackles. Right. He wants to get 5 guys out in the route tree. He doesn't want to leave a tight end in, or have a back staying in to chip or to help out. He doesn't want that. He needs a guy who's athletic enough to handle TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, all these talented edge guys. Even if you look at what the Texans have with Danielle Hunter, I mean, really all around the AFC, there's a ton of talented edge guys. And I don't think that they believe Daniel Falele will ever get the foot speed that he needs to help, counter some of the speed rushers that he's going to face. Rodgers got that. And this guy is so freakishly athletic. And he's also so advanced in his ability to block. Like, this guy already has, he's got different, he understands that there's different ways that you can confuse an edge in front of you. You can set many different ways. You can set more soft and let the guy come to you. You could come out aggressive, hit him in the mouth when he's not expecting it. He has every trick in his bag. He's got every technique already in his bag at such a young age that I think he is the slam dunk right tackle. And the only way he's not starting is if there's an injury or a massive disappointment in what they were expecting and what they actually got. So I do think he will be the right tackle. No questions asked. They're going to pull this guy left and right. They're going to do everything. They're going to leave him on an island with these speed guys because he's just that good. His only issue is always can get stronger. He can certainly get stronger. There's no problem there. Right. But only on occasion. Athleticism actually bites him because he'll overset. He'll jump out there so damn quick that sometimes defensive ends will let him go jump out there and they'll get inside on him. That's the only downfall I really saw. But if he can clean that up, dude, this guy, and get his play strength up, this guy could be an absolute stud at right tackle. So I think he's there. I think Andrew Voorhees, I think they believe that guy is a future Pro Bowl level talent at left guard. And Ben Cleveland, say what you want about him. If you look at the analytics, which I know they do, there was times where he graded out in certain things even better than who just left? Zeitler. So I think that their line ultimately is going to be, if they have their choice, it's going to be Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Tyler Linderbaum, Ben Cleveland, and Roger Rosengarten, with Patrick McCarry as the ultimate swing, and Daniel Falele as another swing. Whereas Patrick McCarry 1 through 5, Falele is your swing tackle only. The rest of the guys fall in line. Samek is the backup center. But that's my expectation on how things are. And Salah, I think, is just a swing guard at this point.
Well, now that Glenn's given his expectation, you can know that it's going to be the exact opposite of whatever Glenn just said.
That's true.
No, I'm just kidding. But Cedric, shout out to Cedric. Say, hey guys, love the pod. After the draft, what do you think is our starting 5 on the offensive line? Do you think McCarry will start at guard? So actually what I was going to ask. So I think it's a good question. So to your point, I think it's funny how you and I look at it the exact opposite, because if I were a coach and Falele came in there and forced me to play him at right tackle because he was playing so dang well, I would be ecstatic. I would be elated. So excited, because then if your goal is to get Rosengarten over to left tackle, you have a luxury now. Because you had this wild card that's, this stock that's really increased in value in Falele, and he's forcing your hand, to make sure he's on that field. And so I think most likely it ends up being Rosengarten, but I think there's also a possibility. For some reason, I feel good that Falele could take a big jump. Is it enough? I don't know. But I think that he could take a big jump this offseason. I have much more faith in him doing it than Cleveland. And so my question to you, Glenn, if this is the offensive line, the starting offensive line, wouldn't you much rather, well, it sounds like you might not, wouldn't you rather have McCary as the right guard instead of Cleveland?
Well, even if I had my way and Rodgers at right tackle, and just forget Falele.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Falele is off the top 5, right?
I think. See, that's where I'm torn too, because they're paying that guy pretty good money, Patrick McCary. But he has durability issues, and I think they wonder, can he hold up as a full-time starter with the back issues he's had? But at the same time, you want to get your best 5. So the question is he better than Ben Cleveland? I think he's better than Ben Cleveland overall. He might not be not be better than him in every single thing, like moving men in front of him might be Ben Cleveland's forte a little bit better. But by far the more athletic of the two, by far the guy you'd want pulling, not even close over
consistent.
Cleveland. And if, to your point, if Daniel Falele, even if he doesn't beat Roger out as the right tackle, if he just proves that he can be a sufficient swing tackle, then that frees up Patrick McCary and say, all right, well, we don't need you as our swing tackle because we got Falele. We don't need you as our backup center because we got Nick Samak. And we don't need you as your swing guard because we got a guy like Salah, who we drafted last year, and we still believe in his athleticism. And they did challenge that guy to put more strength on. Let's see if he lived up to that challenge. Then maybe we can say, yeah, we found a way for you to get on the field, Patrick McCary. You're one of our best 5. We don't need to keep you as a swing tackle because we got Falele. So absolutely. But I think Falele was drafted when it was a different regime, and I don't think he fits the right tackle vision of what Todd Monken has.
Right.
But he could fit the vision of a swing tackle. That's very possible. So I think that's a good point. And I'm waffling. Like, what do they do with Patrick McCary? I think ultimately he's probably most valuable as a swing guy, because it just limits then they don't have to have Salah active ever on game day. They could just leave him as a healthy and active because McCary can fill all 5 spots. In fact, they might not even need to keep Samak as a
right. Active if they don't need him. Yeah.
Just Falele and just McCary, and you got your whole offensive line covered.
I mean, you have McCary and like a medical unit, right, in case he gets hurt, right? So just have, he could run all 5 of them.
He could. He really could.
But yeah, no, I think that's a good point. It's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing here at the offensive line. So your projection then, though, is from right to left is Rosengarten, Cleveland, Linderbaum, Voorhees, and Stanley.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. I'm for the sake of argument.
I like it.
I don't know why. I just have a hunch. It's just a hunch, and that's it. I think Falele does surprise some people. I don't disagree. It's hard to disagree with your argument that the regimes have changed. It's a great point. But I believe that the pure athleticism needed to play any way the position needs to be played. I think he's a superior athlete. I think he can do it. And I think he just needs some time. So if he puts in the work this offseason, I think he can, and I think he will. My only difference here is going to be, so mine's going to look different. I'm going to have McCary at right guard.
Okay.
And the rest, it could be good.
I think you get the best 5 if you do that.
Well, the only one that's left out that could be pushing, right, is Voorhees.
Well, who would you put at
That's
left guard?
I'm saying. He'd be stuck out, but he'd be pushing for one of those spots, hopefully, based on what people are projecting. I just don't know. Do we know how much Voorhees would want to, is able to play the right side of, the right guard, or is he strictly left guard? Like, I think that's,
Yeah, I
Didn't he
mean,
play
that's
left
important.
tackle at USC and
He did
guard?
play some tackle, yeah, and left guard. I think we'd have to see where the Ravens are putting him
Yeah,
in
that'll
training
be
camp.
interesting to see. Because
Yeah,
look, if he plays the right side and all of a sudden they got Rosengarten on the left side and
yeah,
he's better than both Cleveland and McCary, then holy crap.
yeah. No doubt. Guys keep asking where Josh Jones is. He's right there, listed right behind Ronnie
Oh, sorry,
Stanley.
yeah.
You can see him. He's is the backup there. But do I think? I mean, I don't know enough about Josh Jones, but I got to imagine that the value that Patrick McCary brings, it'd be a tall task unless there's an injury for Josh Jones to
Right.
to make it on the roster. But hey, I don't know enough about him, to be honest with you guys. We'll certainly
Yeah.
learn more as the offseason progresses and training camp comes around. But
It's going to be really fun to see where they start lining these guys up early in camp. And
because we talk about McCary's like durability concerns, but don't we have the same ones really about Andrew Voorhees? Except we've never seen Andrew Voorhees in an NFL uniform. Like he's been hurt virtually every year in college, except for I think
and
one
high school too.
Yeah, and some brutal injuries. So as much as I think they're high on him, and I'm excited to see what he's got, I think it'd be foolish for the team to think that he's going to get through an entire 17-week season unscathed and play every game.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's really going to be interesting to see how this offensive line is. It's funny because it's not a sexy position, but there's going to be a lot of intense competition going on. I think John Harbaugh is excited about it. And I know I was nervous about it leaving the draft. I'm less nervous about it. I'm excited about it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. And a part of that is because I think that if you have 3 mainstays on your offensive line, I think you're already an above average offensive line. So if you count Linderbaum, I think Rosengarten, wherever he ends up being, is a year one like mainstay, true starter, NFL level starter. Mm-hmm. And I think Ronnie, you have to include in there, barring health. Ronnie Stanley is still, I think, an above average, maybe slightly above average, but above average tackle with the ability to be more depending on what he looks like next year. I mean, I know that people are saying he's done, he's washed, and the other. This is another year removed. We'll see what happens with Ronnie. We'll see.
Yeah, and why? And he's finally healthy in an off season, which is that matters. Yeah, it matters for him. So, all right, where are we going next? Which position am I talking?
Yeah, I think we should go. Let's go corner.
Let's go corner.
Yeah, because we added 2, and I want to talk about it. Yeah,
absolutely. So, as you can see here, listed currently, Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens are your starting outside corners. Behind those 2 guys, TJ Tampa, Nate Wiggins, the new draft picks. Arthur Maulette, huge signing to get him back to play in the slot, as well as Ardarius Washington, who's going to compete with him there. There's got to be, let me see here. There we go. I had to scroll over a little bit. There's Jalen Armour-Davis, who I know it's like, man, people are starting to kind of forget and give up on this guy. But look, I know, I remember when he was coming out. And I know DK likes, the draft analysis from Chris Sims, who often, he won't follow the trends. He'll go on his own analysis. That guy had Jalen Armour-Davis as the 3rd or 4th best corner in the entire draft when he got picked. I haven't forgotten that, Jalen. So I know the talent's there. It's just a question, can he stay healthy? Can he put it all together? But with that being said, Adit says that Eric DeCosta tricked Mink with his story at the end. I believe he's talking about where he said that Mike Elias from the Orioles helped analyze the quarterback that we ended up taking and said he was the best one on top of T's recommendation. But then I think he quickly admitted he was lying. But I do think they were in the room or something like that. Mike Elias was from the Orioles. But he did. He lied a little bit, but he immediately told on himself. He should just rode with the lie and just stayed with it. But when you look at this list of corners, what's your confidence level? Because they did lose they lost a pretty big piece in Darby. And there goes the pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
I was like, what is that? And I looked at the hold on.
Guys, that's not a green screen. Okay? I promise. The real logo behind Jimmy.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, you were mid-question.
Yeah, what are you thinking about this cornerback room?
Yeah, I'm excited about it because I think Darby was a geez whiz.
What did I call him? Did I call him?
Roby?
No, I said Darby.
Did you say
Darby?
Okay, I always
we did that a lot in the beginning.
Yeah,
pissing people off.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No. All right. So, what I was gonna say is that I think we've got a good mix of some vet and some young guys. So I'm excited about this room for a few reasons. One, Arthur Marlette balled out last year.
Mm-hmm.
You don't forget that we're bringing Marlette back, and he played like a Raven.
He did.
But the other reason that you talked about right when Nate Wiggins got drafted is I think the Ravens might have identified an opportunity to get more value out of a guy that's I shouldn't even say this. How old is Marlon Humphrey? Is he 27?
Is he 27? Is he that young still? I'm about to click on him. We're going to find out together.
Okay, give me some 27. See, I can't even say that.
Wow.
I'm
so young. He is 27. Wow. He'll be 28 by the time the season starts.
Still, the thing for me is originally I was thinking that it could be an age thing, but I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's about like a diminished ability to play outside. I don't think that's it for Marlon at all. I think he was riddled by injury last year. But what it does is it gives you an opportunity, just like the offensive line, to get your best player on the field because they have diversified abilities. Mm-hmm. So if you can, Marlon's team player, he'll plug inside. Oh, he's like you said, that was his all-pro position, right? You know what I mean? Right. And so put him inside, get him around the box, get around the offensive line, get him matched up against some of those inside guys, whether they be tight ends, receivers, whatever. And then let Nate Wiggins and Brandon Stevens do their thing on the outside. And what it does, I think, as a whole, it dramatically improves the three cornerbacks that you have on the field at all times. That's exciting to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think what it also does is it allows you to be just more multiple, to disguise better. Yeah. Because you don't know if you can put Marlon anywhere on the field, like it just gives you an opportunity to we don't know what the hell you're doing with Marlon Humphrey. We don't know if he's blitzing. We don't know if he's playing, if he's going to be kicked inside and covering up our talented nickel and jamming him at the line and using his quick change of direction ability to eliminate our slot guy. We could even put him on I know we usually use Kyle Hamilton on talented tight ends. They could easily put Marlon on a tight end. He definitely has the physicality to hold up with those guys and allow Hamilton to do something different. I just love that these guys, they can become positionless. And Nate Wiggins, man, that dude is just so insanely talented and more than just, crazy talent. He's just so competitive. And I think I love ultra competitive guys, man. That's to me, what makes a good corner is you got to be crazy competitive. So you bringing in all these guys that can do everything. I love it. Remember when seemed like we had all inside guys and only one outside corner in Marlon Humphrey? Now we got guys that can go like TJ Tampa, outside guy that's played some inside. Nate Wiggins, mainly an outside guy, but when he got kicked inside to cover some studs in college, did well there as well. I mean, Brandon Stevens, that guy. I mean, we already know that guy can do everything. I mean, he played safety, he's played nickel, he
can walk on water.
I mean, look, I'd give him the ball, let him tote it a little bit as a running back, dude. He's got the ball skills.
Hey, is he in play for some of this kick return stuff?
He maybe. I think that's why they might have gotten Hardy in here, the former
never know.
Pro Bowler, but you do never know. But I just love the versatility what those guys bring. They can put them anywhere. They're all good, like willing participants in the run game. Marlette will smack you in the mouth. Marlon Humphrey will smack you. Brandon Stevens will smack you. Nate Wiggins, people can say he's slight and that guy will throw his body around and he's 20 years old. Wait till he's 22 and he puts on 15, 20 more pounds and he's an inch taller. He's 6'2", a solid 205 pounds. That's going to be a horse that can bring some heat. TJ Tampa can absolutely smack you in the mouth with a 6'7" wingspan to go along with it. This cornerback room is super, super talented. But does worry me, Jimbo.
Oh boy,
that they've invested so much, particularly in guys that can play inside, or in these guys' cases, that they're more known on their outside production. And I have heard the rumors, and it hurt my feelings to hear them. But do you think this means it's less likely that Brandon Stevens is in their future plans?
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
But you only pay so many guys.
I think it means that.
You think Marlon maybe not be in there?
It's going to be the end of the road for Marlon Humphrey.
Which his contract would be even like, so let me ask you this. If they were both free agents after next year, who do you think commands the bigger salary?
Well, look, it depends on how next year turns out because Brandon, what if he's a one-year wonder? What if this year he I don't
What if
think
we
that's
get
going to be the case.
similar production that we got last year?
Brandon Stevens, I think so. Especially if you talk about similar production last year because
he's younger.
Well, and Marlon had some gaffes last year.
And he had some bad injuries.
Yeah, but he had some moments. It's hard to get over that. Gosh dang it. Who's the receiver for Pittsburgh? Oh, my gosh.
Well, Pickens, but he didn't do him any favors. They put him on an island. They thought they were trying to prevent the first down just to stop him getting in field goal range. So they came up and pressed.
That was a moment. We are
and they
all
ran over
prisoners to moments.
Yeah.
That was a moment. But all that being said, but I think Stevens, I think he because of his age. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right, DK. That's right. Yeah, I think so. If you're talking about similar output to last year, because I think last year was a down year for Marlon Humphreys and Brandon Stevens was a big time up year.
And you don't get paid for what you did do, right?
Right, you get paid for what you're doing. So if you're coming off a down year, look, I'm the same guy that also says the reason Ray Rice is not in the NFL after that whole incident was because he came off a down year. The NFL doesn't actually care enough about what you do off the field if you're playing really well.
Just ask Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, that's right. MLB included. But look, can you imagine if that was Ray Rice's best year? You don't think Jerry Jones would have called him up on the phone?
Oh, for sure.
In a second. But that was his career worst year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, then it's a double whammy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not comparing like Marlon and I'm not comparing Marlon and Ray. That's not my point. My point is that, I'm hoping for a bounce back as well. Yeah. But I think Brandon, I think age related and I think it's more about what you have left, not what you've done. I think I think people will see Marlon as a guy the Ravens have like wrung a lot of water out of already. Mm-hmm. So that's just my take.
Yeah, Marlon's got to stay healthy this year. That's a big, big thing. But man, I tell you what, like DK said in the private chat, we can't sleep on the impact TJ Tampa I think is going to have this year. That dude is instinctual. His long arm, he didn't run the best time, but I think I remember he had like a hamstring thing that might have played a part in that Eric DaCosta mentioned, but also his length, dude, 6'7" wingspan, and it shows up on tape. And I mean, you showed his leaping ability. Look up TJ Tampa's basketball highlights, and enough said about his leaping ability. His head, he has to duck when he dunks, or he'll bang his head on the rim. That's how that guy jumps. So imagine that leaping ability again, where his head is near the rim, plus a 6'7" wingspan. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to be the fastest guy in the world because he can make up for it with his height, length, and leaping ability. So, man, don't sleep on what that guy can bring to the table, man. Like, it's funny because we talked about that being one of their, bigger positional needs with the uncertainty around Marlon's health going forward and the fact that Brandon Stevens is the only guy that you really feel great about on the outside while we like Marlette and we like Ardarius, they're more inside guys. But all of a sudden, you bring in TJ Tampa and Nate Wiggins, who are both bona fide outside corners. It's like, whoa, all of a sudden this went from a top 3 position of need to, I think most people in the chat are saying this might be one of our strongest position at season's end.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. I'm really looking forward to the cornerback room as a whole. Any guesses or predictions, any things you want to go out on a limb at the cornerback position? Anything that could surprise people maybe they're not talking about that you're excited about?
Well, I don't know if this is going to be a surprise, but I think Nate Wiggins leads the cornerback room in interceptions. I think that's right. And I don't even know if that's like going out on a limb. I guess
that's fair because his two competitors both have telephone books for hands, right?
I was going to say questionable ball skills, but yeah, you said it a little bit.
I mean, Brandon Stevens showed some ball skills last year.
He did, but then he also showed some lack of ball skills on occasion last year. But you're right.
Marlon Humphrey, I love Marlon Humphrey, but goodness gracious. When he tries to catch a football, it's like a kid that lines up batting right-handed that's a lefty.
Dude, the ultimate insult ever in anything, especially basketball, is when someone comes up and goes, "Are you sure you're not left-handed?" When you've been
Oh my gosh.
It's so insulting.
Tristan Thompson at the free throw line. Remember that?
Just offhanding it, dude.
It's embarrassing stuff.
We used to do that in beer pong too. I'm like, "You sure you're not a lefty?" And then
dude, I got a good story. Speaking of which, I won't drop names, but I got an invitation to a decent basketball camp here in Baltimore for like the Baltimore circuit when I was young. And just very beginning, they do like the coaches there do like their little evaluations. They pick their teams, whatever. And the whole week you're just in practice and then you're scrimmaging your games and then you go into a tournament the last few days, whatever. The first thing we did was like layups, right-handed layups, whatever. Dude, I'm a lefty. You know this. And so it didn't look great. and I already don't pass the eye test. Let's be honest.
No, you don't.
So, like, then I had a coach come up to me. It's like, hey, man, are you supposed to be in that group down there? And I was like, wait a second. And I looked over there and I'm like, don't you dare put me over there.
No.
I'm left-handed. I know what you're thinking, but I'm left-handed. Don't put me with those kids.
No.
They're terrible. I don't want to play with them. They're bad. Please. I'd just rather go home. Like, I don't want to play with those goofballs. Anyway, yes, I've had that happen in real life.
Yeah. It hurts. It hurts a little bit.
It does.
But I'll do that in beer pong. Sure, not a lefty. But yeah, it's always an insult. But no, I think
somebody switches it to their left hand and just sinks it while staring at you.
Had that happen not long ago, actually, which is kind of crazy. But look, we'll have little court parties here out in the neighborhood.
There you go.
Things can get rowdy. But yeah, I mean, I think this is ultimately now a position of strength, but
yeah, man,
it's always unknown. I mean, it's like Eric said, some of these guys will be better than we thought. Some will be worse than we thought. So let's just hope that this is the first draft class in history where it's a 100% success rate. TJ Tampa's good. Nate Wiggins is good. Everybody, Sanusi Kane, they're all good. But we all know that won't be the case. Where are we headed next, Jimbo?
Yeah, I'm going to leave this one up to you. I think I picked the first two. Where you want to go? You want to go to edge? We could go right to edge. It's right on the screen, and we picked up a guy.
Yeah, I think that's the most logical since he was a top pick that we got to go there. And it was also, I think, our second biggest position of need as we entered the draft. So it's the perfect place to go. As you can see on the screen here, Odafe Oweh and Kyle Van Noy are listed as your day one starters at the edge with Chris Board and with Adisa Isaac and Malik Ham backing up Odafe Oweh, and David Ajabo and Tavius Robinson backing up Kyle Van Noy. Doesn't have anyone listed in the fourth spot behind either one of those guys, but we know they have some undrafted talent that's going to be competing. But when you see that list right there, Odafe Oweh, Kyle Van Noy, I think we both feel pretty good about those two guys. I know to this point, Odafe has been a bit of a disappointment from a production standpoint, but if you look at his pressures, his hurries, he's in the top 10 to 15 in both of those categories. So while his sack numbers haven't caught up, his pressure rate, his win rate is pretty impressive from a pass rush. I think it was like 25%. Anything over 15 is pretty damn good. So the guy's got talent, and we know what we're getting from Kyle Van Noy. But after those two, how early do you think Adisa could make an impact? And, I mean, what the hell are we going to get out of David Ajabo, Jimbo?
Sorry, I was a bit distracted by
You good?
I need a second, actually, Glenn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all good.
I need a second. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry. I'll be right back.
All right. Take care of your business. All right. Well, then I'll just give my opinion, which is really, I mean, Jimmy's opinion, I guess. But let's just talk about what I will say Odafe Oweh, I think, is in line for a massive breakout season. I don't know if it's going to be quite to the level of Justin Metabike, but I do expect those sack totals to finally catch up to the rest of his game. He just plays with way too high of a motor. He's developed his pass rush moves, his counters in a way under the tutelage of Chuck Smith that I think it's only a matter of time before he really starts to live up to that draft grade and live up to that athleticism that we saw him showing off in the combine leading up and really since he's gotten here, but hasn't really translated to on-field statistics. But I think this year it absolutely will. Adisa Isaac, I think what makes him have a high floor is the fact that he's got a crazy high motor and a crazy high work ethic. If a guy comes in and he's willing to put the necessary work in, and then when he gets on the field, he busts his ass and plays 100 miles an hour, no matter if he's the backside defender or if he's stacking at the end of the line and trying to force it. It really doesn't seem to matter. He plays his ass off. Kind of reminds me of oh man, left us and went to the Patriots, never had double digits. Oh my God, I see his face. Help me out, DK. Help me out here. Oh my gosh. Judon, thank you. How did I slip? I mean, I don't get it. I don't know how I forgot his name, but he kind of reminds me of Matthew Judon in that he just plays so damn hard that he's going to end up making plays. Like there's so many guys that once they get stood up by the offensive lineman, they'll almost just give up and they'll try and just get hands in passing lanes and really just stand there like this. Adisa's not going to do that. He's going to keep working his ass off. So even if it's one of those plays where the quarterback holds the ball and maybe Oweh really gets the initial pressure and it forces the quarterback off his spot and he just runs into always working Adisa Isaac, he's going to run into stats this year just by his motor. And I do think with his work ethic, getting back with a familiar face and a friend in Odafe Oweh, getting in a program that's going to build his lower half. He does got to get more strength in his lower half, get a bigger ass on him, some big, thick thighs to hold up in the run game against these big tackles. It's certainly like Cincinnati's going to be throwing at you and Pittsburgh's going to be throwing at you. Some big dudes got to get some strength in that lower half. And I have confidence that they'll get it done. I think Tavius Robinson took huge leaps in the season last year. He went from a guy who was a healthy scratch to a guy that was making plays at the end of the season. So I don't expect that guy's just going to be an afterthought with the new additions. I think he's going to continue to get better. He's got a freak frame on him. His athletic is all get out. He's a Canadian who's relatively new to football, and he still had a lot of growth to be done. And I think he'll certainly grow into his frame, and his talent will catch up to his natural ability. Malik Ham, man, we were so impressed by this guy being a smaller guy and at a smaller school, undersized, but just fast, shot out of a cannon off the edge, made plays all throughout preseason and training camp. Let's see what the guy's got. I mean, I think he's got a chance to compete, even though there's a pretty good long list of guys in front of him. But if David Ajabo is not healthy and not ready to, go out there every day and put some quality reps together, then Malik Ham could be in for a bigger role. And then what we got as far as blitzing. Because look, I know we're talking about edge, but Roquan Smith can blitz with the best of the linebackers. I think Trenton Simpson, although we haven't seen a ton of it, I mean, he is just uber athletic. And I don't see any reason why he can't be one of our very best blitzers. We know what Kyle Hamilton brings off the edge. Marlon Hunt. I mean, all our guys can simply get after the quarterback, even if they're not, edge guys. And of course, Justin Madubuike led our team in sacks last year, led all interior defensive linemen in that category as well. So he's going to go absolutely bonkers this year. No reason to expect him to be worse than what he was last year. I have high hopes for Justin Madubuike. I don't think he'll start loafing now that he's got his paycheck. Doesn't seem like the type of guy to do that. And this just doesn't seem like the atmosphere where, that would be acceptable. So, he's man, it's crazy, man. They got a lot of athletic freaks with high motors and just good people. Like Kyle Van Noy, I mean, my goodness. Well, I was so glad to see that guy back. Not only what he brings as a veteran leadership, the versatility he brings to his game with the ability to drop into coverage, rush the quarterback, plays. I mean, how many big run stops? Like, I didn't realize until he got here how good he could be against the run. He had a massive fourth down run stop last year. If you guys remember, I believe it was in the AFC Championship game in that 4th and 1 where they were able to stuff and they ran right to Kyle Van Noy and he was able to stack and ultimately get the tackle behind the line of scrimmage. So I think it's a good edge group. Obviously, Ajabo's the big wild card. If Ajabo can live up to what they thought they had, if he can live up to that top 15 talent everyone said he had before the injury, man, just think how good this group could be. Like if that Odafe Oweh breakout season's coming, if David Ajabo finally can stay healthy, and even if he doesn't like do something crazy and maybe unrealistic by saying double-digit sack totals, even if he gets halfway there, 5 or 6 sacks, think of what that does to this room. Like it's a massive, massive improvement. What are you pointing at here?
He's saying, what do you expect out of Malik Harrison?
Yeah, Malik Harrison, I think the tough part that Adisa Isaac's going to have breaking the initial roster is that we got some guys that can flat out play the run on the outside, and Malik Harrison's one of them. So I think Malik Harrison has a bit of job security in that I still think he's the best first down, run down outside linebacker at stacking at the edge opposite Odafe Oweh. Like he just got really good at that. He was able to anchor and force the guy back on the inside where his help is. So that'll be interesting. Can Adisa Isaac crack the lineup? Because I don't think they want to run Kyle Van Noy out there for rundowns. They want to keep him to drop in coverage, to rush the passer. But Malik Harrison's, so he has a role. Like he's that hammer. When they drafted Malik and they drafted Patrick Queen, we thought they'd be the hammer or the what they call him, the thunder and lightning. But he does bring the thunder. just I think does it better suited from the edge than the inside, like we thought. But I think he's got early down potential. I just don't know what he brings as a pass rusher.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I missed most of that conversation, but what do you think happens with Ajabo this year if you have to give your best bet?
Man, I don't want to sound negative, but I think best case scenario, he's a half dozen sacks. That's the best case, which would be great. But I think what I'm willing to say, that way my feelings are protected and I don't get my hopes up. I'm going to say you can't expect much, Jimbo. I'm going to say 3 sacks is my expectation, which is what Odafe had last year. But Odafe backed those 3 sacks up with, top 10 pressures, top 15 QB hits, and, a 25% pass rush win rate, which I don't think Ajabo will have.
Well, what do you take as an overall for games played?
Oh my goodness.
I'd
say
10
9
over under. What do you take in over or under? You said
I was going to say 9.5. I was going to set the over under at. So I would say, I would put it at 9.5, and I don't even know what I would take, the over or the under.
Yeah,
it's such a shame because it's not like we are down on the guy. It's just
he can't seem to stay healthy.
Yeah, and then it doesn't help, like you said, Jimmy. Optics, looks, perception, you can call it whatever you want. But if a guy doesn't look, from my perspective, like he's done a lot physically in the weight room, and you mentioned it first, Jimmy, he doesn't look a whole lot different than he did the day he got here.
Right.
And we want guys who have injury issues to eliminate all variables. And the biggest variable, I think, outside of luck when it comes to injuries is, are you in shape? Is your body, able to withstand the rigors of an NFL season? And so we'd like to see some development on his frame, and really he hasn't looked much different. And that could just be our eyes not seeing it correctly, or it could be what we're thinking, and he's just not the biggest workout warrior.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out, but I think he is the biggest wild card in this room.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we kind of know we'll get from what Odafe. I think there'll be a slight uptick. Every year, Odafe seems to be getting incrementally better, not exponentially, but incrementally better. I think that trend will continue at this point in his career. But Ajabo, we'll see what he does, man. We'll see what he does. Did we get to all our super chats tonight?
I think we got one more.
Don C says, Jimmy and Glenn, I would love for the Ravens to give us a banger alternate uniform. They need to give me more than mustard pants. We would eat up the new merch. Yeah, that's true. I've seen some online. Like, I think that all white would be cool with purple or, and black. I don't make these things, but I've seen some white helmets, which I think would be pretty sweet. I can't really think of any other ones off the top of my head, but I think it'd be fun. Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I know they can't go back to the old bird for like a throwback.
They're not allowed?
No, because of the person that created it or something like that. Yeah. Rights to it. I don't think they have rights to it or something like that.
Oh, hey, you know what? Quickly, though, I'm glad that Mitty Raw just brought this up because I thought it was interesting. The Ravens were able to use a international exemption. Let me pull this up because I read this earlier. Each team gets like that international exemption, and usually they'll use it. Like lately, we've seen a lot of rugby players come over. I think the Ravens first used it, if you remember, on a guy like, I think it was Jermaine Illuminor, who came over from England, who's still in the league, by the way. Yeah. Still in the league. But I believe he originated as an international guy. I believe they were able to somehow. I mean, I just because of where he came
Glenn,
from.
You're getting robotic. You're back. You're back. Don't do it.
I'm good.
You're back. Yep, you're good.
Okay. They were able to somehow use that on David Ajabo this year. And so what that means is he's their international roster exemption. So I'm about to share this real quick. Let me remove this and just throw this up here because this is huge, man. Like this is a massive. I mean, we talk about how valuable every roster spot is and how how many inactives and how many actives you can put up there and how much that really can change your roster. And I know it's just one position or one spot, but if you can see here, Ravens were also granted international roster exemption for David Ajabo. This allows the Ravens to carry 91 players. Each team is eligible for international roster exemption. Since the Ravens have international player on roster, this opens up a spot for them to sign another player. So this can actually allow them to carry 91 players versus the typical 90 man. And usually that 91st player, that international, is a bit of a flyer. It's a guy you're taking a chance on based on his ability, usually to play a different sport. Like I said, tons of guys from rugby have used this exemption to try and get a shot on an NFL roster. The fact that they can use that on a second-round pick from last year is absolutely insane to me.
It's crazy.
And I got to imagine this is a huge bonus. Like Eric DeCosta's got to be loving life, the fact that he can carry one additional player, and that 91st guy is a guy's quality, at least that they're hoping, is David Ajabo.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Look, the Ravens will use every single opportunity to do everything they can to take advantage of what is in front of them within the realm of legality. So shout out to the Ravens for doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
But Glenn, I think the time has flown by.
Yeah. We got through a lot of positions.
We did. We're not through all of them, but
yeah, we'll get through more on the next one.
And I think those are the ones that moved the most. I think those are the most important ones that we have to talk about. So
they were our top 3 needs going into the draft. We touched on all 3 of those. So
yeah. So make sure you guys, if you're not already, give us a subscribe, give us a like, turn your notifications. We're going to be, of course, continuing to put out videos every week, going live, most likely at least once a week. And getting you guys ready for all Ravens news. Make sure you stay up to date because the rookie camp, like Glenn said, is this weekend. Or Ravens, and then we'll be talking about that next weekend. All other things Ravens. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.